Alright folks, we are with Gangland Wire. Got my t-shirt on, official t-shirt today. You too can get one of those from the Facebook, from the website, www.ganglandwire.com. I hope you guys in England are not gone to sleep yet. I'm trying to get this thing held just right. What I want you to look at first, we're in, you got to put yourself back into the 1970s Kansas City. This is the city market area here. There's a produce truck there. It's still a city market area produce truck unloading. Those guys were yelling at each other a minute ago about where it should park. Wish I'd have got that up earlier. Might have been an interesting conversation. See the brownstones in the back, the brown buildings? That's a square. That was all city market stalls. Now, if you go all the way back to the turn of the century when the first Sicilians and the first Black Hand people came over here, we're in just east of here and where we were last week, what we call Little Italy. Why, they felt like they had a certain ownership of the city market area. In the 1970s, this whole area was just a few commercial produce places left. Everybody was going to the suburbs. Downtown was dying off. There was a big homeless shelter called the Helping Hand, and those guys would come over and eat out of all the dumpsters. David's here. All right, we're in. England is in the house. Welcome, David. See a couple other names here. Leslie Hughes is here. I can't remember, Leslie. Are you from England? Also, you're a real active Facebooker. So we're talking about the city market and how Kansas City mob felt like they had a proprietary interest in anything around here. Well, if you look at this big parking lot right here, in the evenings, it was vacant. And really in a lot of cars here during the day, they had to cut down on people parking here for free and then taking the trolley downtown. But that's an aside. That's not important. These parking lots were totally empty, and there was a man, there's a block we'll go over to in just a minute right behind me. You see the brick buildings right behind me. An old area, and a man rehabbed a lot of those buildings in 1970 and 71, 72. And he really just exposed the brick walls and the wood floors and the rafters, and then encouraged artists and craftsmen and entrepreneurs to come down and had really inexpensive rent. So there's and a couple of restaurants and a bar opened up pretty quick, and it started getting popular. And matter of fact, within about 2 years, it was immensely popular. And there was parking was at a premium on Friday and Saturday night. There was a man by the name of Fred Bonadonna that we'll have to go up by his place in a minute, which is right kind of over my shoulder there. Be to my left, I guess to your right. The building's actually been torn down. It was a brick storefront and a row with a bunch of other brick storefronts. Freddie got immensely successful, and Freddie was he was not a mob guy, but his dad was. And he had an idea. He ran a straight joint. He had an idea that if he could lease these parking lots at night from the city, then he could turn around and charge a parking fee, and he did. And he got a real reasonable rate because the city didn't care, and they were happy to have somebody use it. At night, he accepted all responsibility, of course, so you'd pull up in here and park, and there wouldn't be any parking for blocks and blocks around, and want to go to a club up here, pull up here in the park, you get up in the back and find a parking spot and get out, and you'd start back out toward Freddie's place or towards one of the others. By that time, there's about 10 clubs all up and down the street we're going to go to next, Delaware Street. And young people would go up those clubs, and they would, a man would appear and he'd want $2. Well, $2 in 1972 seemed like an exorbitant amount of fee for parking. I realize it's not the day. You'd happily hand him $2, but it was big. And so Freddie made a whole lot of money in a short period of time, cash money too. And a man named William Comisano and his brother Joe Comisano, they had a kind of a special, Willie the Rat, had kind of a special hold over Freddie's dad, David. I would say that David was more an associate and Willie was a made guy. And David was probably part of Willie's crew, doing some different little things that Willie wanted, and doing burglaries and high-end burglaries, and Willie'd fence the property and a variety of other things. Willie was into all kinds of stuff. He had a meat market that was dealing in cancer-eyed beef at one time. Willie'd do anything to make a buck, and he was a bad dude too. Called him Willie the Rat. It's because he had a little rat terrier he liked to carry around in the car with him, and it would, down here in like the city market, it'd jump out and go kill rats like crazy. anyhow, Willie the Rat went to Freddie and his brother, Willie and Joe, went to Freddie and said, you know, you need to give us a little piece of that action down there. You need to help us out here. And he said, no, I'm not going to do it. So they went to David, Freddie's dad, and said, you know, there's two things that are going on here. Freddie won't share any of that parking lot money. And the second thing is, Freddie is refusing to assist some of our guys getting liquor license down here. We got some clubs that we want to put in down here, and he's going to liquor control in the city council connection he's got and badmouth them, and they're not getting their liquor license, and he's got to knock that off. Well, Freddie did not want those other mob-connected strip clubs, which is what they were, strip clubs, moving in down here, and he continued to resist. And Freddie and William William Comisano and his brother Joe found out that Freddie was still resisting, and he went behind their back and burnt some of their club people. So they called David in and said, David, you got to knock this off. You got to get Freddie to stop this. He's got to give us some of that money, and he's got to help these guys get liquor licenses. And David went to Freddie and he said, no, I can't do it, boss. Dad, I can't do it. David had to go back and he said, boss, he's the one that's the boss. He said, boss, he won't do it. And purportedly, Willie the Rat said, well, David, you know, he could get hurt. And David said, if you got to go after my son, you better go through me first. And the rest is history. Now, like I said, the club Poor Freddy's isn't there anymore. I think what I'll do is I'm going to try this, get on the motorcycle and ride around and go down that street to where those clubs were. Now, there's not much there now. It's some other urban renewal. It was called a River Key back then. And then I'm going to kill it because I got a ways to go, and I'm going to go to the crime scene where David was killed, and then we'll go to where his body was found. So hang on, folks. This is a new one here, trying to ride the motorcycle and Facebook Live at the same time. Guy could probably get arrested for that, couldn't he? Wonder if I can flip this camera around. You don't see a way to flip this camera around while I'm still Facebooking Live. I'm going to have to flip it around and then go back live again, I believe.